Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to today's special broadcast. As you may know, today is May 4th, which is the Day of the Remembrance of the Dead. To give a little introduction on the day itself and where it stems from. Um, since the official liberation of the Netherlands during World War II on May 5th, 1945, there have been ceremonies to commemorate the losses of the Second World War throughout the country. And when the Dutch government wanted to combine the memorial of the fallen and the celebration of the Liberation Day into one, so they wanted to move it to May 5th, the former Dutch resistance protested. And so the government and the resistance reached the agreement to commemorate the fallen on the 4th of May and to celebrate on the 5th. So that is why the 2 days are or have separate meanings nowadays. In 1961, the meaning of the commemoration changed. Before that, they only commemorated those who fell during the Second World War. But since 1961, they also commemorate people serving in the Dutch army after 1945. Since 1961, there have been many revisions, and the official descriptions of the groups being commemorated during the ceremony has been changed continuously. And each time, the changes resulted in a more inclusive definition. As of now, the official Dutch text is as follows. Tijdens de nationale herdenking herdenken wij allen, burgers en militairen, die in het Koninkrijk der Nederlanden of waar ook ter wereld zijn omgekomen of vermoord. Zowel tijdens de Tweede Wereldoorlog en de koloniale oorlog in Indonesië, als in oorlogssituaties en bij vredesoperaties daarna. The translation of this text is as follows. During the national commemoration, we commemorate all, civilians and members of the armed forces, who were killed or murdered in the Dutch kingdom or anywhere else in the world, not only during World War II and the colonial war in Indonesia, but in battle situations and peacekeeping missions after that as well. With this special broadcast, we want to contribute to this commemoration. We will remember the victims of World War II and the Holocaust, but we will also take this as a moment to educate our community and beyond on the pain and violence going on elsewhere in the world as of this moment. The goal of commemorating is not only to mourn the losses of the past, but to educate ourselves and to apply these lessons where we can. Never again is now. To give a brief outline of today's show, we will first explain some theory on the 10 stages of genocide, which is a document developed by Dr. Gregory H. Stanton that can help us identify the warning signs of genocide and become a step in stopping the process from continuing. After that, we will have an interview with Nadiya Vasylyeva, who will speak on her experiences with the war in Ukraine and how she channels that pain into positive energy and action through organizing fundraisers. We will also be listening to music from fundraiser compilations that raise money for various funds, campaigns, and institutions, helping out victims from various parts of the world. Finally, we will listen to the Palestine broadcast featuring Massa, Amina, and Tarnim that was recorded in the studio in November of 2023. We want to highlight the part of the memorial description that focuses on the losses suffered anywhere else in the world after World War II. We are aware that the remembrance on this day is rooted in grief of the Jewish genocide during World War II. We mourn as we mourn with every human that loses its right to existence as a result of political upheaval, exclusionary ideology, closed borders, and massive violations of human rights. The pain, grief, and stories of genocide victims need to be heard, particularly in times when world politics tend to look the other way. The 10 Stages of Genocide was a document developed by Dr. Gregory H. Stanton, a professor at Mary Washington University and the vice president of the International Association of Genocide Scholars, which was founded in 2006. Stanton also leads Genocide Watch, a non-profit organization dedicated to the fight against genocide. The website features reports per country, as well as genocide alerts in 3 categories. A genocide watch is declared when there are signs of the early stages of the genocidal process. A genocide warning is called when the genocidal process has reached the stages of preparation by perpetrators and persecution of a targeted group. A genocide emergency is declared when the genocidal process has reached the state of genocidal massacres and other acts of genocide. The 10 Stages of Genocide was originally written in 1996 at the US Department of State as the 8 Stages of Genocide, presented at Yale University Center for International and Area Studies in 1998, and it was revised in 2013. In the revised version, the stages of discrimination and persecution were added, which we will elaborate on in a minute. The 10 Stages of Genocide is a formula for how a society can engage in genocide. Genocide cannot be committed by an individual or a small group. Rather, it takes the cooperation of a large number of people and the state. The genocidal process starts with prejudice that continues to grow. By knowing the stages of genocide, citizens are better equipped to identify the warning signs and stop the process from continuing. We will now go into the 10 steps and explanations and examples for each of them. Genocide is a process that develops in 10 stages that are predictable but not inexorable. At each stage, preventative measures can stop it. The process is not linear, and stages may occur simultaneously. Each stage itself is a process. Logically, later stages are preceded by earlier stages, but all stages continue to operate throughout the genocidal process. The first step is classification. All cultures have categories to distinguish people into us and them by ethnicity, race, religion, or nationality. German and Jew, Hutu and Tutsi. Bipolar societies that lack mixed categories, such as Rwanda and Burundi, are the most likely to have genocide. The main preventative measure at this early stage is to develop universalistic institutions that transcend ethnic or racial divisions, that actively promote tolerance and understanding, and that promote classifications that transcend the divisions. The Catholic Church could have played this role in Rwanda, had it not been riven by the same ethnic cleavages as Rwandan society. Promotion of a common language in countries like Tanzania has also promoted transcendent national identity. This search for common ground is vital to early prevention of genocide. The second stage is symbolization. We give names or other symbols to the classifications. We name people Jews or Gypsies, or distinguish them by colors or dress, and apply the symbols to members of groups. Classification and symbolization are universally human and do not necessarily result in genocide, unless they lead to dehumanization. When combined with hatred, symbols may be forced upon unwilling members of pariah groups. The yellow star for Jews under Nazi rule, the blue scarf for people from the eastern zone in Khmer Rouge, Cambodia, To combat symbolization, hate symbols can be legally forbidden, such as swastikas, as can hate speech. Group marking, like gang clothing or tribal scarring, can be outlawed. The problem is that legal limitations will fail if unsupported by popular cultural enforcement. Through Hutu and Tutsi were forbidden words in Burundi until the 1980s. Code word replaced them. If widely supported, however, denial of symbolization can be powerful, as it was in Bulgaria, where the government refused to supply enough yellow badges and 80% of Jews did not wear them, depriving the yellow star of its significance as a symbol for Jews. The third stage is discrimination. A dominant group uses law, custom, and political power to deny the rights of other groups. The powerless group may not be accorded full civil rights or even citizenship. Examples include the Nuremberg Laws of 1935 in Nazi Germany, which stripped Jews of their German citizenship and prohibited their employment by the government and by universities. Denial of citizenship to the Rohingya Muslim minority in Burma is another example. Prevention against discrimination means full political empowerment and citizenship rights for all groups in a society. Discrimination on the basis of nationality, ethnicity, race, or religion should be outlawed. Individuals should have the right to sue the state, corporations, and other individuals if their rights are violated. The fourth stage is dehumanization. One group denies the humanity of the other group. Members of it are equated with animals, vermin, insects, or diseases. Dehumanization overcomes the normal human revulsion against murder. Hate propaganda in print, on hate radios, or on social media is used to vilify the victim group. In combating dehumanization, incitement to genocide should not be confused with protected speech. Genocidal societies lack constitutional protection for countervailing speech, and they should be treated differently than democracies. Local and international leaders should condemn the use of hate speech and make it culturally unacceptable. Leaders who incite genocide should be banned from international travel and have their foreign finances frozen. Hate radio stations should be jammed or shut down, and hate propaganda and its sources should be banned from social media and the internet. Hate crime and atrocities should be promptly punished. The fifth stage is organization. Genocide is always organized, usually by the state, often using militias to provide deniability of state responsibility. An example of this is the Janjaweed in Darfur. Sometimes organization is informal. Hindu mobs led by local RSS militants, for example. Or the organizations can be decentralized, like terrorist groups. Special army units or militias are often trained and armed. Plans are made for genocidal killings. To combat this stage, membership in these militias should be outlawed. Their leaders should be denied visas for foreign travel. The UN should impose arms embargoes on governments and citizens of countries involved in genocidal massacres and create commissions to investigate violations, as was done in post-genocide Rwanda. The sixth stage is polarization. Extremists drive the groups apart. Hate groups broadcast polarizing propaganda. Laws may forbid intermarriage or social interaction. Extremist terrorism targets moderates, intimidating and silencing the center. Moderates from the perpetrator's own group are most able to stop genocide, so are first to be arrested and killed. Prevention may mean security protection for moderate leaders or assistance to human rights groups. Assets of extremists should be seized and visas for international travel denied to them. Coup d'état by extremists should be opposed by international sanctions. The seventh stage is preparation. National or perpetrator group leaders plan the final solution to the Jewish, Armenian, Tutsi, or other targeted group question. Note that here final solution and question are written in quotation marks, as this is words that are often used in genocidal societies. They often use euphemisms to cloak their intentions, such as referring to their goals as ethnic cleansing, purification, or counter-terrorism. These three terms are also written in quotation marks. They build armies, buy weapons, and train their troops and militias. They indoctrinate the populace with fear of the victim group. Leaders often claim that if we don't kill them, they will kill us. Prevention of preparation may include arms embargoes and commissions to enforce them. It should include prosecution of incitement and conspiracy to commit genocide, both crimes under Article 3 of the Genocide Convention. The eighth stage is persecution. Victims are identified and separated out because of their ethnic or religious identity. Death lists are drawn up. Members of victim groups may be forced to wear identifying symbols. Their property is often expropriated. Sometimes they are segregated into ghettos, confined in concentration camps, or deported to a famine-struck region and starved. Genocidal massacres begin. These are acts of genocide because they intentionally destroy part of a group. But lawyers, diplomats, and others opposed to any forceful response will still refuse to call these crimes genocide. They instead use euphemisms like ethnic cleansing that have no legal consequences. The UN will pass resolutions. It may send, quote, commissions of inquiry or even peacekeeping forces with weak mandates. Perpetrators see if there is any effective response. If there is not, the killers know they can commit genocide with impunity. At this stage, a genocide emergency must be declared. If the political will of the great powers, regional alliances, the UN Security Council, or the UN General Assembly can be mobilized, armed international intervention should be prepared. Diplomatic and material support for armed resistance should be provided to the victim group to prepare for its self-defense. Humanitarian assistance should be organized by the UN and private relief groups for the inevitable tide of refugees to come. The ninth stage is extermination. Extermination begins and quickly becomes the mass killing legally called genocide. It is extermination to the killers because they do not believe their victims to be fully human. When it is sponsored by the state, national armed forces often work with militias to do the killing. Sometimes the genocide results in revenge killings by groups against each other, creating the downward whirlpool-like cycle of bilateral genocide, as in Burundi. At this stage, only rapid and overwhelming armed intervention can stop genocide. Real safe areas or refugee escape corridors should be established with heavily armed international protection. An unsafe, quote, safe area is worse than none at all. Regional forces should intervene and be authorized by the UN Security Council. For large interventions, a multilateral force authorized by the UN should intervene. If the UN Security Council is paralyzed, authorization may be given by the UN General Assembly under the Uniting for Peace resolution. Regional alliances may act before UN authorization under Chapter 8 of the UN Charter. It is time to recognize that the international responsibility to protect transcends the narrow interests of individual nation states. If strong nations will not provide troops to intervene directly, they should provide the airlift, equipment, and financial means necessary for regional states to intervene. The 10th stage is denial. Denial is the final stage that lasts throughout and always follows genocide. It is among the surest indicators of further genocidal massacres. The perpetrators of genocide dig up the mass graves, burn the bodies, try to cover up the evidence, and intimidate the witnesses. They deny that they committed any crimes and often blame what happened on the victims. They block investigations of the crimes, and they continue to govern until driven from power by force when they flee into exile. There, they remain with impunity, like Pol Pot or Idi Amin, unless they are captured and a tribunal is established to try them. The best response to denial is punishment by an international tribunal or national courts. There, the evidence can be heard and the perpetrators punished. Tribunals like the Yugoslav, Rwanda, or Sierra Leone tribunals, the tribunal to try the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, or the International Criminal Court may not deter the worst genocidal killers. But with the political will to arrest and prosecute them, some may be brought to justice. Local justice, like the Rwandan traditional trials, truth commissions, or religious and secondary school education, are also ways to counter denial and lay foundations for reconciliation. This last paragraph is something that resonated with us. So, by means of this special broadcast, we want to contribute to education by introducing this document, The 10 Stages of Genocide, and by giving examples of genocides that are happening in the world at this moment. We hope that you can become aware, that you can recognize the stages, and that you can spread the word that we need to stop genocide. We're ending this part of the broadcast with some music from fundraisers. At the very beginning of the broadcast, I played a track called For You by Answer Code Request and Jan Wagner, which was released on United for Equity, a label from Brussels. The proceeds of this compilation go to Come Back Alive, a charitable foundation dedicated to providing competent assistance to the Ukrainian military and a nonprofit organization focused on security and defense sector analytics, as well as implementing projects for veteran rehabilitation through sports. The track that we just heard was Unity by Cardo, released on The Missy from Eindhoven. The proceeds from this compilation go to Outright Action International, an organization fighting for better LGBTQIA+ lives everywhere. They believe that while the stakes are high for all Ukrainians, the looming prospect of Russia annexing the country and imposing its homophobic legislation and anti-gender ideologies on Ukraine weighs especially heavily on LGBTIQA+ Ukrainians. track we just listened to is Ceasefire and Beyond by Cinder, released on Free Palestine from France. All money will be donated to United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees. Next up, we have another track called Travego by Non Dele, released on Feed the Void Rotterdam. All money for this compilation will be donated to Medical Aid for Palestinians, an organization that works for the health and dignity of Palestinians living under occupation and as refugees. So that was Travego by Nandele. Next up, we have one more track before we go into the second part of the broadcast. This track is called Between the Sword and the Neck by Anthony Cardillo and Bilal Nasser. It was released on Porch Collapse from Haarlem, and all money from this compilation will go to Palestine Action, an organization fighting Israel's weapon trade in Britain and beyond. So that was Between the Sword and the Neck, released on Porch Collapse. Next up, we will go into the interview with Nadiya, who has joined us here in the studio today. So
Hello.
Hello, Nadia. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me again. I'm Nadia. I'm from Ukraine, and thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah. Today, to give a brief introduction, I'm sure most of you are aware of what's happening in Ukraine. But the Russia-Ukrainian war is an ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, which, according to sources online, began on February 2014. In February 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine and began occupying more of the country. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of pain and destruction going on there, which is why we also wanted to pay attention to that today. And yeah, hopefully we can learn also something from Nadia, who is Ukrainian. Um, yeah, so where in Ukraine are you from originally?
I come from the capital, so I'm from Kyiv, and I've lived there all my life before I moved here.
Yeah, so how long ago was that when you came?
I came to Groningen, I believe, in 2018 to study here, and and then I stayed. I kind of wanted to go back to Ukraine in 2022, and and then the war started. So now I'm kind of figuring out my plan for the future.
Yeah. What was it like? Because when you moved to Groningen, it was obviously with like a bright look ahead into your future, like you're gonna study, and then something as awful as this happens. Like, what goes through your mind at a moment like that?
Well, honestly, I kind of knew that was coming, like, because there were signs of escalation and stuff, but I didn't really believe that that would happen. Because there were people who knew, they were really prepared and confident that it is what it is, and it's probably gonna happen. But I was on the optimist side, I guess. So yeah, I was in Ukraine in January 2022, and I left like a month before the full scale invasion happened. And I don't know, honestly, I was just I I blocked all my feelings, I guess, for like a year, because that's how my mind worked. So that was my coping mechanism. But of course, it was absolutely horrible. But honestly, I don't really remember that much of like my emotional response, just because I went completely numb, and I was just I immediately was like thinking how I can help and what should I do and how to collect myself. So it was very hectic.
Yeah, I hear that more often from people as well when they go through something really traumatic that they can't remember much of it, and it's probably your body trying to protect yourself
Yeah.
from all the harsh feelings that you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of course, I'm very sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
It's of course a very hard time to go through.
Yeah, it is, but well, we still gotta live, still gotta do something, and you know, if you don't have any inner resources, you can't really help. So yeah, you gotta find a way to cope with
Yeah,
it
yeah, of
somehow.
course. And how about your family? Are they here as well, or do they still live in Ukraine? Or
Yeah, my mom and my whole family are in Kyiv. Uh, they honestly never moved anywhere. I mean, like they stayed there for the whole time. Because when the Kyiv region was occupied, a lot of people left the city, and my mom stayed in the capital. She's very ambitious and very strong woman.
yeah, it's very
So
brave.
yeah, she was very confident in her actions, and we also kind of we talked about what we're gonna do if that happened. So I knew that she would stay, and I was like, well, she's an adult, and I respect that decision. So yeah, they still there. I have a lot of friends there who were also like moving, but then they came back. And yeah, they don't really want to move anywhere else, and they, yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, yeah. I can also imagine that you just want to stay at your home,
Yeah,
basically. Like, yeah, you're not gonna move for anyone.
yeah.
So that's also understandable. And is it difficult for you to understand where they're coming from, or if you had the chance, would you also go back?
Honestly, I totally understand that. I mean, it's a little bit hard for me to talk from the position of the person who like moved here and lived my kind of conscious adult life here, mostly because I think I was like 17, so I was still a teenager.
Yeah.
But I really relate to that. I think I would also stay, and again, it's kind of hard for me to say if I stay or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I would follow the same decision, honestly, because Kyiv is my favorite city in the world, and I wouldn't want to leave it. And I'm still considering the opportunity of coming back, but I don't know. Like it's very chaotic, so I'm trying to find a strategy for me to either stay here or move somewhere else or go back to Ukraine. So I
Yeah.
guess I'll see in the nearest future.
Yeah. So is it difficult to go there at the moment, or how does that work?
Well, relatively. Um, no, okay, it is. It is. I was there last summer, and it took me 27 hours to go to Kyiv. I mean, it's a bit of a shorter journey for people who live in the west, for example, because they go to Poland and then they take the train, and it's like, I believe, 10 hours. But yeah, I went to Poland. Then I took several trains, and then there is a direct train from the border to the capital, and it's all right. It's just I was just dying of anticipation to come back home.
Yeah, I
So for
understand.
me, the 27 hours, they weren't that bad.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, it's good to hear that there's still the opportunity for you to go see your family and your friends.
Thank you.
Yeah. um, yeah. So, how? What are your feelings when you do go back and see your family and friends? Like, how is that for you?
Um, well, for me, it seems like a little fever dream because I spend a lot of time like just watching my friends in Ukraine and their stories. I like watch a lot of videos from home, and I really, really miss it. So when I finally came back, I ignored like all the attacks. Well, I didn't fully ignore it, but it didn't really affect me that much, just because the ratio between the good things that I got from the journey and the traumatic things, there's still more of good things than bad ones. So yeah, I'm still like I think I'm gonna go back for like 2 months this summer. um yeah, I don't know, it's just it made me really happy. I was really happy to see everyone and very surprised that um I'm still connected to like my friends who are there and they don't come to visit me in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of positive emotions, a lot of joy, but also like um I guess it's also a lot of pain to just like see how the country changed and like how people changed. Um, so yeah, it's a mix of different feelings, but for me, it's definitely more of positive ones
Yeah.
rather than negative.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah. So, in a strange way, life still goes on, and yeah, you still see your friends, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's I think that, I mean, I've been only to Kiev,
Yeah.
but I would say it's very alive, and I think it's very inspiring to also see like new businesses evolving, cultural sector, especially like electronic music scene is just booming, and it's for me it's truly heartwarming to
Yeah.
experience that.
That's
So
really nice.
yeah.
And you mentioned before that you could notice that people also changed. Like, what do you mean with that?
I mean, from starting like basic things that you see people in the military uniform, you see like the different cars. I mean, not the different cars, but the military painted cars.
Yeah.
You see also people with disabilities a lot. And for me, it was a
From
little.
fighting or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So for me, it was a little bit like I didn't know how to act and how to react. I was like, oh my God, this person is like literally saving my life and like the life of millions of Ukrainians, which was a little silly of me. But yeah, so these things changed, but also I think the people became more united, and it feels more like, I mean, it's a really big city, but it felt like people are more somehow connected and willing to help. So yeah, there is like a tragic aspect of like just seeing like the visual signs of the city that is in the state of war, but also the spirit is there.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
like a common cause for liberation that
yeah,
brings people together.
yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I didn't really expect that, because I like I assumed the worst, that when the war happens, it's like an X-ray for the worst that the society has, but apparently we're doing good.
Yeah, that's
There
good
is
to hear.
hope.
Yeah, there is hope. Um, cool. So I also wanted to ask about fundraisers, because one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you today is because I saw on Instagram that you're quite active in organizing fundraisers. Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about that and how it came to be?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to outline that I'm still very privileged. I'm not a refugee. I live here and I studied here, and I'm I am active, but I also want to pay respect to people, like to our volunteers and activists who do this every day, and like it's their occupation, and I just do the small part of it. So yeah, it started like a few months ago. There's a girl whose husband is serving. She was organizing a big fundraiser, and there were assigning different people for like smaller fundraisers. So we raised the funds faster, and she just approached me on Instagram, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I started from the smallest amount I could do, and then it worked out for me. It went pretty. It was pretty easy, and I was like, oh, I can do more of that. Yeah, because I tried like other different initiatives. I was the translator. I went to this on this mission with this Dutch organization to the Polish border to be a translator, but then I realized I can't do this like all the time. So I think like fundraisers are the easiest and probably the most important at this time. So yeah, I'm doing it from time to time. Um, yeah,
That's
that's
nice.
in general how it
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, because I assume the translation work is also like a very thankful job, but it takes a large toll on you as well because you
Yeah,
have to go there and
no, that's crazy. I think you should be like fully prepared and certified for that, because you work with people who are displaced and who come from occupied territories, and I don't think that I was probably the right person for that. I mean, if you want to do this and you like prepare yourself, and I don't know, you do some kind of courses, then yes, of course. But I was just I overestimated myself, I guess, on that course. Um, so yeah, the fundraisers are my jam now.
yeah, nice. Yeah, and also it seems like you can do quite a bit in like a short amount of time. So yeah, that's good to hear. Um,
Yeah, and I mean it's amazing, because like you just I want to contribute, and like I want to help, and I was just looking for ways I can do that. And yeah, just props to all the Ukrainians who are coming up with like the craziest creative ways how to organize that. And yeah, I think we need like a whole online museum for different like videos they create. They'll also like do different raffles and stuff. So yeah, I'm in this chat for all the people who want to contribute, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are crazy. It's an insane amount of work, and I'm I'm still a little part of it, a little minion in that big uh, machine of fundraisers. So yeah,
Yeah, it was good to see that there's a large group of people who want to contribute in this way. And you also, like, for some of the fundraisers that you do some giveaways and stuff. And do you find the people for that through these groups as well? Or like,
Do you mean like I find people
who want to
give
like contribute their art or something like that? Yeah.
honestly, it's pretty random. Like the first time I did the giveaway, I think I just had the stickers, like extra pair of them, because I bought them just in case from Ukraine. But then, yeah, I randomly um, contacted people who I follow on Instagram who like do T-shirts or they just do some kind of art, and I just asked them like, "Hey, you wanna give me this, and we can use it for my giveaway." And mostly people are willing to do this. They're like more than willing to do this. And I also noticed that a lot of artists they started communicating on their Insta that they're giving away their work for fundraisers. So yeah, I was very impressed because these people have a lot of followers
That's nice.
and they're like kind of famous in the community. And I'm like, because you still you like you meet people on Instagram, they approach you and you don't know if they're legit or not.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised by how everyone wants to help, and yeah, no matter what, even if it's a scam, I guess, which is also like a threat these days.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And how about the causes that you support? Like, do you seek those out yourself, or how does that work?
Um, can you elaborate like what causes you mean?
So when you're setting up like a specific fundraiser,
Mhm.
you're raising money for that goes to like a specific goal at that
Um,
point, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, honestly, I don't really have a strategy for that. I'm just like, sometimes people approach me, so they ask me if I can do that. Sometimes I just see like some organization, they're looking for people who want to help, and I'm just saying it's me. So yeah, it's mostly, I think that sometimes I just see if some fundraisers are not getting enough of attention, then that's how I choose them. But honestly, it's a very random thing, I guess. So yeah, but like I try to not take part in like very big fundraisers from like big organizations and big names, because I feel like they're gonna find people in any way.
Yeah.
So yeah, now I'm mostly like focusing on my friends, on my friends' parents who are serving. So yeah, I'm trying to be, I guess, more personal,
Yeah.
because more and more of like people are being affected, and yeah, the circle is narrowing down, sadly.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to look in your own circle for people who you want to help, and then also the people that you know might be more willing to
Yeah,
contribute when they know who their money is going to.
yeah, yeah. That's an interesting
Yeah.
topic.
I
Yeah.
guess it's not so nice, but it is a bit how humans work, I guess.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how it is. Like that would happen in any, I think, other country, and that's always a threat. Um, and it's happening, but I mean, we still need to we still need the money.
Yeah.
We still
Yeah.
need to do something. Yeah, and I know like a lot of people, they don't really want to donate to like smaller organizations sometimes, and I think like especially a lot of internationals, which is very fair. um so yeah,
Because
it's
they're scared of being scammed, or why would they?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people, they also don't really want to donate because they're like they they think that if they donate to the army, that they're also like supporting violence. That's another blocker for us. But yeah, the scam, it's that's the reason why some Ukrainians don't want to donate or they don't want to take part in fundraisers. But I mean, all the organizations, they report like every single uh, receipt, like from what they bought,
Yeah.
where it
Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
And also they always ask, people to record the video, like the ones who serve, um, with them like saying who they are, what they need. So it's also like a visual proof that it's legit. So I think it's honestly becoming like easier um, to check if the fundraiser is legit or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and also good so people maybe feel a bit more connected to the cause that they're donating to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mean it's just like it's also nice to always receive a little thank you from people who are fighting, because that's like, I don't know, that gives me a lot of joy, and it makes me feel immediately like a little better, because I'm struggling a bit with like feeling useless, which is, I think, a lot of people go through. Um, so yeah, that's also like my, I guess, moving force to do that. And yeah, and absolutely, like we need to be as transparent as we can, and yeah, so people like they see where their money is going.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, yeah, it's just easier to motivate more people to get into it. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, you already talked about some roadblocks and yeah hurdles in organizing these things, but if you could name like maybe the hardest thing about organizing these fundraisers and also the yeah the most joyful part maybe.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So the hardest part is definitely getting people into donating, getting people into at least like giving you some sort of engagement, because Instagram is awful for any war social
Yeah, they just
related.
block any political
Yes,
content.
yes, absolutely. Like I can literally see how my stories views, they go down as soon as like I start posting something, even if it's like something informative.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, it's bad. I'm always getting very angry. So yeah, I'm always asking people to, like, if you can donate, just like my story, just send me a reaction. So because it works, like it really works, because Insta see that apparently it's an important post, and yeah, so that's the hardest part, and it's just very sad, and I guess sometimes demotivating to just notice that so many people saw my post, they liked it, but I didn't get like any donations. And of course, like it's very sad when it's um, when also Ukrainians don't really donate to me.
Yeah.
That's probably the most heartbreaking breaking part. But yeah. And the most joyful, I think, as I said before, is that just this little feeling of adding some value and making a little change with a little post on Instagram and the open fundraiser in my bank account. Yeah, because I would love to do more, but I also understand that I can't really overestimate myself. And you gotta have some sort of balance in your life when you have your personal life, your own world, but there is also some energy and resources for making this world a little better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's just knowing that I helped, and even like seeing the text saying, "Oh, hey Nadia, we just sent whatever we bought, whatever we raised the funds for. Um, we delivered it to the people who needed it, and they're saying thank you." It made my months better. So yeah, just staying connected and just feeling the appreciation,
Yeah.
even of the small things, in my opinion, that I did. It's enough for me. It's more than enough, honestly. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said about adding value and maybe feeling like you contributed, I can imagine that that really helps getting you through the times. And yeah, also, um, of course need to be careful about overexerting yourself, and it can take a big mental toll, I think, if you
Yeah.
keep busy too much with all the bad things that are happening. So
Yeah.
it's good to hear that you try to achieve a balance there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and that's also like my advice to everyone. Just keep your life also going, because
Yeah.
you need some sort of purpose, I guess, apart from doing a good cause.
Yeah. Um, I also wanted to ask how. So you already said um, on Instagram, for example, sometimes a lot of people like your posts,
Hmm.
but they don't donate. And have there been other reactions from people in your surroundings? Like, have you heard any feedback from them?
Yeah, I do receive a lot of feedback, and I think the most important one is from my friends in Ukraine, from my colleagues, because I work for a Ukrainian agency, a creative agency, and it's always very weird in a way and surprising for me to hear like how much they appreciate what I'm doing, and they always like support me a lot, and they're like, Nadia, you live in the Netherlands, you're doing something that's great. And yeah, because I don't think that I'm doing something that it's that big, but I really really appreciate people supporting that, and that's what like also keeps me going. um, and yeah, I wouldn't say that I received anything negative.
That's good.
No one ever said like, yeah, I mean, as I said, I once had this thing when people didn't want to donate because it was for the weapon supplies that we needed.
Oh yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, it's only people being super supportive and sweet, and I really appreciate that. And please do more of that.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. I think
Yeah.
for your colleagues is also sort of a gesture to them that you are thinking about them and you care about them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know, I sometimes feel very isolated because I'm not there, and I immediately assume the worst, that people, they see me as a foreigner, as like a stranger.
Yeah.
I mean, people in Ukraine, and apparently they don't see me that way, and that's very flattering, to be honest. So yeah, only positive reactions. I hope it stays that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't need to listen to the negative feedback anyway.
No, no negative energy. As much as like, I don't really support this whole idea of like always staying positive and ignoring the horrible things that are happening. But when it comes to fundraisers, I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
I think you're doing a good thing, so like
Yeah,
if someone
yeah.
disagrees then
Yeah, thank you. Because sometimes I get angry, which is silly, and sometimes I want to like post something and just be more, I guess, aggressive a little bit. But then I calm myself down, and I understand that there are many different people, and we need all of them, and we need as many as we can. So it's quite a challenge to find an approach uh, to people who don't want to donate. But I'll keep knocking on the door,
yeah.
as yeah, like the rest of people who also do fundraisers.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's understandable that sometimes you get angry about the state of the world and like
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, like you said, I think it works better if you stay friendly, but yeah, those feelings of anger are totally valid.
yeah, just convert it in a good cause,
Yeah.
just all this angry force that you have inside of yourself, just like think, I'm immediately like um thinking how I can put this energy into something that can influence our current situation for the better. So
Yeah, I can. That's a great way to think as well. Like,
yeah, we even have like in Ukraine, we even have this like, it's not a slogan, but it's a thing that many people always post on their stories after like an attack, or Russians against again doing something like doing a terrorist attack. Um, People always say that you need to convert your anger into donations. So yeah, I fully support that. That's very effective. That really helps, and it makes you feel a little better when it's like a constant reminder to donate again. So yeah.
Nice. Um, okay, so yeah, I really like this saying of convert your anger into donations.
Thank you. I think it's catchy. It's
Yeah,
very nice.
and yeah, I think bouncing off of that, if there are people out there that want to start their own fundraisers or any other ways to set up those
Mhm.
campaigns, like, do you have advice on how to start?
Um, yeah, I don't know if that's an advice, but I would say that what stopped me from doing that in the what was stopping me from doing that in the first place is just thinking that, well, I'm not like an activist. I'm not a person who has thousands of followers, and I thought that no one will support that. Um, and I underestimated the power of, I guess, doing a small thing. I thought that I need to do something big. I need to, I don't know, just I was, I thought that I don't really matter that much. But then I just decided to try and it worked out and it made me feel better. And, and from that point, I just thought that, well, there is no way for me to stop, I guess, because I'm already doing this. I can't really go back. So I think my advice is just to always remember that, um, there is, mm, it's not like there is a superhero who's going to save the world. It's like the whole planet of people who could be those superheroes. And you can always fill in the niche where you can help, but you just gotta put yourself out there and I don't know, find an initiative, which is pretty easy, honestly. There are a lot of people who need help, um, honestly, in so many departments. So yeah, and everyone is willing to accept you as the member of that working machine of for the good cause. So yeah, just always remember that everyone can make a change, and it doesn't matter if you are an influencer or a student. And it's honestly it's very easy in like in the age of the internet. Posting something on Instagram and just starting a fundraiser, it's really not that hard. Even though it seems like it could be, and as if there's a lot of responsibility, or maybe people not gonna donate. If they're not gonna donate, it's also fine. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, it doesn't do any harm.
yeah, exactly. Like you can't really fail this. So and you can really embarrass yourself or something. I'm just thinking like from the top of my mind of what are the reasons why people wouldn't want to do that or would be scared to do that. So yeah, honestly, everyone can do it. It's very easy, and it's also you get a lot of in return.
Yeah. Yeah, and also what you said, that small changes will add up in the end.
Yeah,
So yeah, if a lot of people do like small fundraisers, it might be might be really impactful.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even like because I have some friends who, for example, only donate money. They don't really do their fundraisers, or they're not really active on Instagram, and it's their like mindset. And I support that as well. So it's not only about doing fundraisers, even like reposting and leaving this donation link is already a lot because you're contributing to someone else's initiative.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that you can go even smaller, and it's also appreciated. There's a place for everyone. So yeah, if you want to do this, just ask me or someone else, or just Google it. I don't know. It's very easy, honestly.
So do you think that setting up your own fundraiser would be more effective than just donating to yours, for example?
Um, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I would say it's a hard question to ask because there is no, I guess, data to prove that. It's not a there is no research on that. But I would just say, um, if someone approaches you and they ask you to set up a fundraiser, just don't say no. Just try it out. Um, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but I think it's not really about measuring what is effective or not, but it's just about constantly providing some kind of support. So yeah, because I know some people, they feel really demotivated, but they like repost fundraisers, they donate, they contribute to the keeping the engagement alive, and it helps me and other people. So that's also effective.
Yeah, that's also a good way to look at it.
Yeah. So I would say that if you want to set up a fundraiser, but you feel like, I don't know, you're scared or something, just do it. But if you don't feel like you have enough energy or resources, or you just don't want to do it, and you just okay with like constantly sending the money, it's also cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, just I guess it depends on the person. But yeah, but of course we need as many people, like ideally, um who can become volunteers. But I also understand that, well, it's the reality we live in, and there are different people with different views. So yeah, but as I said, every contribution is appreciated
Yeah.
a lot.
Any way to help is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You can't fail that. You can't do anything wrong.
I think that's a really good note to end the interview on. Or is there
Thank you.
anything else that you want to share?
Phew, I don't know. I'm just gonna repeat that. Again, if you wanna help. Like if you don't know how, uh, just find a person who can provide you a consultation on that. But I think, like, honestly, there are a lot of resources online, a lot of organizations online. There are even like manuals and like posts that explain how to find a fundraiser, how to make sure that it's legit. So there's I think everyone can figure this out. But again, you can also always ask me, I guess. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm willing to provide help. So I hope there are going to be people who actually going to be interested.
That's great to hear. We'll share your Instagram to the
Yes,
Relate
please.
community.
Please. Yeah. Only
So,
for those purposes.
yeah, thank you so much for your insights.
Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me and in this conversation and the opportunity and supporting Ukraine and caring about this. It really means a lot, and it always makes my heart a little warmer. So, yeah, and I think it goes same goes for all the other Ukrainians. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for us it's the same. Like, we have like a smallish platform, but whatever we can do to shine some light on awful situations that are happening right now that people need to know about, but also how to make a positive change, I think, is our small way of helping.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it always starts from yourself. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter like you're big or not. Your actions, they speak louder than that.
Yeah.
So
And you
yeah,
also brought along some music, right?
I did. Yeah,
So,
I have it on my stick.
yeah, so let's listen to some tracks. Nadia also looked for some music from fundraisers, right?
Yeah, I
So,
did.
yeah, we can have like a musical interlude before we go to the Palestine broadcast.
Yeah, thank you. A few words about the tracks I chose. The track that we listened before is by Briozone, and it's called Bombas, and it sampled the voice of from one of the famous meme videos was the Russian propagandist, and it's like the purpose of the track that it makes fun of propaganda. And the next track is just by my favorite producer and DJ Polychain. And the cool thing is that it's an album that they were selling for charity, and you were able to buy like a USB with all the tracks on it, and it's just I think cool merch. So yeah, and I think the last track we're gonna play. Yep. It's this one. Yeah. Yeah, it's just also by my favorite producer from Ukraine, Volodymyr Gnatenko, and he does amazing live shows, and he has a really weird, whimsical, trancey sound that I love. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.